Good evening, everybody. I'm Dane Gentry. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Um, Coming on tonight, I'm going to talk about the insanity of drugs. Everything about it is insanity. Everything we do, from the fact that we do it the first time. We see it. We see people in the street. Whatever. Our family members when we were young, whatever it may be. And then for whatever reason, the insanity part of it tells us that it won't happen to us. That, I won't be that homeless person. I won't be a junkie, that loses everything they have. It runs everybody off in your life that's ever loved you. Could go on and on with all the things that we do. Um, I saw drugs at a very young age. Everyone smoked pot and drank all the time. Back then, everybody would ride around and drink, want to ride the roads. That was a big thing. And nowadays, I think they're getting a little hold on that. How you doing, Carrie? On all that kind of stuff. But that's what my life was. That's what I saw. Um, I don't ever remember a time that I didn't see people smoking pot or drinking or any of that. If you want to come up and talk, Carrie, just let me know. I'll add you up. Um, so that's the insanity part of it. We look at, especially nowadays. The young kids now look at all the things that they're seeing. Um, we got people sleeping on sidewalks. Homeless people everywhere, and we know the reason of it. We know it's because of drugs, and then here yet we still want to try it. Whatever reason, we just we just fail to believe that it's going to happen to us. And me, it. I started smoking pot probably when I was about 9. I remember I found a cigarette pack that had a bunch of joints rolled up in it, and I had saw everyone doing it, so I knew there was something to it. Of course, I didn't really know what it was, and so I found them and I had them, and they. All right, I'm gonna send you in, Carrie. There we go. Hold on, let me X that out. Sorry, 1 second. All right, there we go. Um, I had an older friend. He was like a cousin. Um, there you go. Hey, Carrie, how you doing?
Hey, I'm okay. On the video.
I can hear you better tonight. That's good.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm actually on my headphones tonight, so
what'd you say?
I'm on my earbuds.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
using my earbuds tonight,
I'm
so
just
that's
talking
why
about the
it's better.
insanity of drugs. The fact that
Yeah.
we see what it does to everybody's life, and then we still want to do it. I was saying that I'd found that cigarette pack with all the joints in it. I didn't do anything with it at the time, but the people who lost it, I lived in like a little duplex, and the people who lost it lived next door to us, and they were looking for it. And I was like, I wouldn't tell them. I was high. I kept my head, and then an older friend of mine, he one day was like, "Come on, man, we're going to ride our bikes out in the country and steal some marijuana plants." I'm like 9 years old, and I'm like, okay. So we go off on this adventure to go steal these marijuana plants, and of course we don't find anything. And but I had that pack of them joints, and I told him, I was like, I got some. And the very first time I tried to smoke any, it was like he gave me like a shotgun deal, and then of course I was choking or whatever. And I don't really remember if I got high then or not, but it wasn't long after that I was smoking pot pretty regular. Um, at the age of 11, I was drinking and smoking pot like I was grown. I always hung around the older kids, and my mom was dating a guy at the time that I just didn't like. He didn't like me, and I didn't like him, and kind of deal. And he had a daughter same age as me, and he'd be gone during the week, and he'd be there on the weekends. And so in the summertime, they would go to the lake and stuff. And we lived in this little trailer park in Franklin, uh, Battlefield Trailer Park, 34C. I still remember it like it's yesterday for some reason.
I haven't
But
seen
anyway,
it
um,
in a while.
hey Tick, how you doing? Tick Radio's on. That's she has a show, and also I was just talking to her while I go on Bobby's show. Um, but So at that time, I remember when they'd go to the lake and stuff, I would be drinking, and I remember passing out in this little field there that had like a basketball goal and stuff there. At the age of 11 now, I remember that. And then of course I had my accident, and my mother said that every third hour on the hour they would give me a pain shot, and she said I would wake up right at time, and I would hit that button for the nurses to come in there. So I was already addicted, but. And I remember the way it made me feel. They would give me shots in my legs, and but when I went home from the hospital, they gave me some kind of pain pill. I don't remember what it was, but I wouldn't take them. But when I had my accident, it exploded my eardrum, and so along with everything else it done, I had an ear infection from the time I was 11 till I was 15. It just wouldn't go away. it finally stopped hurting. I just had I always had to keep cotton in my ear or whatever, my left ear, and I finally had a doctor said he figured out. Dr. Cates was a doctor in Nashville in West End, and he said that he figured out. First, he tried to like patch my eardrum stuff. One surgery, it didn't work, and then he said he figured out that the infection had got into what was called my mastoid, which is that basically that bone right there back behind your ear. And so he had to drill in there, had to drill a hole in it and drain it out. And that's when he gave me the Vicodin ES pain pills. And I wouldn't take them at first. I was like, but it was hurting. It was hurting bad. And um, I was actually having an affair, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm 15 and she was like 35 with a woman. And she's like, you should take one of them pills. And I was like, no, I don't want to take it. And really all it was she was wanting some of them. She figured if I took them and got half of them, she'd get some of them. And so um, I did or whatever. And I remember that well. I remember the way I felt. And instantly I knew, it was almost like I knew I needed a lot of doctors and stuff. And I started telling the doctor that I had migraine headaches. And this doctor is still in practice today. I'm not going to say his name, but he's still in practice in Franklin. He's not even actually a doctor. He's a PAC. So he's just like one step from being a doctor. He worked under another doctor, but this guy would bring me pain pills and come and meet me. I was 16 at this time, and I would call the office, and he would bring me samples from the office and bring them to me. I could go in there and get a pain shot and drive away at 16 years old. I went in there one time. I had done a bunch of acid, and I was high on acid, and he knew it. Still gave me a pain shot. Then he prescribed me something called Stadol nasal spray, and that it was some strong shit. It's just like it looked just like a regular nasal spray. You just squirt it up your nose, but it would get you higher than any pain pill. But again, I was 16 years old, and this guy was doing that. But he actually, when I was in prison the first time, my mother had come back from Texas and started seeing him, and she had legitimate reasons that she needed pain medicine or whatever at this time. And he actually told her he was sorry. He never told me that. I went there with her one time, and he never told me he was sorry. But man, we can sit there and we can. Okay, Tick, thank you. We can sit there and I could place the blame all day long, but at the end of the day, I was still asking for the pills. My mother had really good insurance. I think that had a lot to do with it, really. At the time, it's all money. Um, and kind of, I don't know what kind of doctor he is today. I haven't seen this guy since, I don't know, I was 17 or 18 years old, but not like that, not as a patient. Like I said, I saw him when I was, I don't know, 35 or something, but um, he actually works in the office that he works in. Is one side of it is family care and the other is the pain clinic, but it's all in one office. So you got one door on the right, one door on the left. And so, my opinion, he's probably doing the same thing, but I don't know. But again, I can sit here and place blame all day long, but at the end of the day, I was still going to do it. But um, I got sent off when I was 16, and they were still giving me the state on nasal spray. And I was in a group home in Wayne County, Tennessee, and I got sent off over a girl that got pregnant. A girlfriend got pregnant, and she was a wealthy girl, and I wasn't. And we was gonna have the baby. Everything was fine. We was gonna have the baby, and then, hey Bobby, how you doing? Um, and then all of a sudden, she had us an abortion, and they filed a restraining order on me not to see her anymore, and so they kicked me out of school, and I ended up getting in trouble over that, and they sent me away to a group show. Loved your show, Bobby. Thank you, man. Um, and so I was down there, and I was still giving that nasal spray, but they didn't know what it was. They just thought it was nasal spray, and so I was sitting there all high on the shit, and they didn't know what was going on. But I run out of it, and that was my first experience really with withdrawal at that time at 17. But it was more in my mind. I feel like it was more mental than anything. But I remember like being somewhat sick, but not bad. Um, but then I come home. This is the insanity part I'm talking about here. This is what I'm getting to. So I come home and I get some more of that stuff, and then it's gone. And you're really Jones or whatever. Well, I meet these guys, these people. Um, they were doing what's called boosting. They were shoplifting, and they'd have people take it back in for money. They were grown. I'm a kid, and at first I didn't really know what they were doing it for, but then I saw what they were doing it for, and they were doing it for K4 Delatas. Thank you. I appreciate that, Bobby. Yours is too. Um, I like the music. It's good just to sit around listening to some music sometimes. It just does something to the soul. Um, but I saw him shooting up, man. And I just do. I look back on that and I think about it and think, why in the hell, man, did I ever want to do that? I just didn't understand. And uh, the first time that I ever shot up was in a Home Depot parking lot. And the last time I ever shot up was in the same Home Depot parking lot. I didn't realize it at the time that that was going on, but it just turned out to be that way. Um, it's been some years ago now, but I had done some, um, and I went out. And 5 hours later, I was sitting in my truck for 5 hours with it running the whole time out. And again, the cops woke me up. I had a parole violation. I went back to prison. But that's the insanity part I'm talking about. Like I saw what this done to all these people's lives, and I still was like, man, I want to do it, and I don't understand that. I don't understand why we do that. But again, that just goes to show you there's something there, and um, telling you, that's wild, Carrie. That's it's crazy, and people tell me that all the time, and it's just like, you know, uh, I try to hold some things back sometimes on here because I don't want to. I don't want to hurt my brother, and there's things that he doesn't know. But I'm just going to, I'm putting it out there because I'm an open book today. But my mother, man, I saw him shooting my mother up. I didn't even know, really what was going on. But I walked up on it, and there's a grown man, and I beat the shit out of him. Just to be honest about it. And but I still went and done it. I still wanted to go and do it. But that's the crazy part of it. So me and my mother become getting high buddies, and you know, that's some people, say whatever that the people that know it. I remember telling Beth that the first time and just looking at the hurt in her eyes and just, she just felt so bad for me. But I still don't fault my mother. I mean, it is what it is. Um, I will say that it's one of the most traumatic things I think I ever, of course, experienced was walking up to that. Shelby Park in Nashville. There's up on top of the hill up there. Carrie, if you know what I'm talking about, maybe I'm not sure, but um, and I walked up on it, man, and I exploded. And at the moment, I thought, man, I never would do that. And then here it goes, you know what I mean? And so I went from I wasn't innocent at the time, by no means. I was mean, man. I was mean when I was a little kid. I don't know why. I don't know what that was. I think I was seeking attention, but that guy, man, that I'm talking about that I beat the shit out of was a real piece of work, man. Um, I don't know where he is today. I've run across him a time or two in jail and stuff like that, but Um, anyway, so that's the insanity of it. I see this, I see my mother, and immediately, man, here I go. And so for the next, I don't know, 6 months or so, that's when I got in all my trouble. Was in that amount of time. I ended up on the run and had I was out on bond from like 5 different bonding companies, and back then a lady by the name of Janie Hood had a bonding company, and she's an awesome lady. I don't know if you know her or not, Carrie, but man, she tried to help me. That lady tried to help me so many times, and she was married to Steve Osborne at the time. And Steve's a good guy. He has his own problems or whatever, but he changed his life around. He did a bunch of time. But anyway, she tried to help me. I mean, everybody saw what was going on, and I say that I don't hurt my brother, and he may know. I don't know that he don't know. I've just me and him has just never really talked about that. Um, we're just kind of not that way, but in a way, I think he does know. Um, But let's see, anger is always secondary to something else: hurt, sadness, and guilt. Yeah, I was. I can remember being probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, and my mom had got a car, and in my mind it was a new car, but I know it wasn't because we was poor as hell. So I know it wasn't a new car, but it was new to her. And back then, of course, they had the cigarette lighters you could push in, and it would get red hot, and you pull it out. Well, for whatever reason, I was sitting out there in that car, and I would take that lighter and I'd push it in. It'd get red hot, and I'd pull it out and I'd stick it to the seat and burn a hole in the seat. And I did it like so many times, and I don't know why I did that. And I remember stealing money from her, walking to the store to get candy. Um, After I had my accident, I was 11, and I would leave and stay gone for days. I wouldn't call, wouldn't do anything. I'd just go and uh, not tell nobody, not where I was at or anything. And so some people say I was seeking attention, and maybe I was, and I probably was because I didn't get any. Um, my mom would. Oh, man, I don't want to make it seem like I'm down on my mom tonight, but it's just the truth. She was a really bad alcoholic when I was real little. Um, but some things went on, and that caused that I know now. I didn't know back then and when I was real young, but now I know these things. But anyway, and so she would go to the bars and stuff and get drunk, and she wouldn't come home for a few days or whatever. But my brother was 6 years older, and so he was supposed to be with me, but of course he was like a teenager at this time, so he was out probably with a girl, so I don't know. But so I'd be left alone by myself, real young. I mean, 7, 8 years old. But my grandparents didn't know. They would think that my brother was with me, and so. But anyway, I just think sometimes that all of that stuff combined probably led to me being, the little mean ass that I was. And somebody sent a message to me on Facebook Messenger and said, "Glad to see your little mean ass finally grew up," or whatever they said. And I was just like, I wasn't a real violent to people or anything like that. I was just mean. Prison kind of made me that way, as far as the whole. I was always a fighter. That's just how we grew up back then. It was just different, and I was real little, and I was the smallest, and so they always picked on me. And when I grew up, though, they stopped doing all that. I was an angry child as well. My dad, 6 years old. You can come on speak if you want to, Carrie. I was hurt and acted out. I found it later. Ooh, for good reason. 6 years.
Yeah, he was an asshole to my mom. So I found out later, the reason why she made him leave and she divorced him. But I blamed him for most of my life. Thought it was him that he just up and left. My mom's like, yeah, you had a good relationship with him, and I barely talked to him after that. So as kids, we don't always see the whole story. But I was a very angry child. I'm a twin, and I'm the middle child, and I felt not heard. I felt like they didn't care. My mom worked 80 hours a week. She was always gone. I never saw her. I was basically raised myself from the time I was 7. When she divorced my dad, and she made good money after she finished school and all of that. But the money didn't mean anything because it's the love. I didn't have parents around. Nobody telling me what to do. Did whatever I wanted and just got lucky I didn't get into trouble until later in life. But yeah, I mean, I was angry. Feelings of abandonment and hurt and um.
I'm having a real hard time hearing you, Carrie. I can barely hear you. Change my.
Can you now?
Bobby, can
Can you
you
hear me?
hear Carrie? I can barely hear.
I'm right next to my phone. I can't get any closer.
Yeah, I can hear you
So
now. I
maybe
changed my
I don't know.
headphones around a little bit. Then I tried to plug them into the computer. What age did you start doing? Did you start getting high?
I drank my first full beer when I was 6. At 12, I was just gone full blown drinking every day. Um, and then I was didn't start smoking pot till I was 16. But then it was an automatic every day, all day thing. Um, from basically then on until I was 30. I went to rehab the first time when I was 30.
You were how old?
30.
30.
But I had been doing cocaine for 5 years, daily. Never went without it for 5 years, and the funny thing is nobody seemed to know. That's why I said I felt unheard as a child. I felt unheard as an adult too. 5 years I had stone, and then I didn't start doing cocaine till after I had my kid, and so I
I went and got on methadone when I was 18. Um, my mother went as well. Um, we had lost everything. I mean, we became homeless, and man, that was a strange thing. It was looking back on it now. I never really knew how all that really affected me um, until I got sober and started, dealing with shit, as you know, and all the things that I thought that just didn't bother me or whatever, I found out they really
they
freaking
did.
did. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, I think
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
I had
know. I just it was it was a very sad situation. And I was in treatment in Florida years ago, and of course, I won't say nobody's name or anything, but we were in a group, and it was men and women both in there together, and this girl was talking, and she said at the age of 11, her mother shot her up with methamphetamines, and I just thought, oh my God, man, age of 11, your mother shot you up with amphetamines, just so she said the reason her mother did it was was so that she would figure out how to do it and was able to shoot her mom up. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Um,
well, it is a sad, that is a sad situation, and yours was too. And at the time, you probably didn't know any different, right? Like this is just this is what life is. Whatever happens is what life is, and you probably didn't realize how unusual it was. Like I was home alone all the time. I had a twin sister that I took care of basically and fed and made sure she had food. I had an older sister that was never home or didn't pay attention to us. And so from, you know, that age on, I took care of myself. I fed myself. My mom's rule was if you are hungry, then learn how to cook, and I did. I mean, it's just I just thought that that's the way it was supposed to be. Everybody's parents are gone working, all the time.
yeah, it was we kind of lived in a different world. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't do the. I became homeless and all of that, on my own later in life, and went through the whole, yeah, homeless jail. My mom dropped me off at the mission in Nashville with just the clothes on my back and said good luck. And I asked her for help. Okay,
oh wow,
you'll figure out how to do it or you won't. And I did. I mean, I was homeless for 9 months, and then after I got out of jail, and then I went.
um,
Well, I came to
that's
Buffalo Valley after I got
Buffalo
discharged
Valley.
from the hospital. Yeah, after I
What
got out of the
year?
hospital.
What year did you go to Buffalo Valley?
2017, late summer.
2017.
I
In
spent
Lewisburg.
Yeah, I'm still here in Lewisburg. I spent 6 months. What was it? Well, the 30 days in, and then I spent 9 months in the transitional housing program. And
You know,
oops,
I was down there in 2017 too. Um, very briefly.
side
Yeah, they
program.
yep, they started a MAT program. It didn't last long.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there when they shut it down. I was the group that was in there then. Um,
Wow. Yeah, I was
yeah,
in. Let's see. When they shut it down, I was in the transitional program. So it was still at Buffalo Valley, living in one of their transitional housing houses with a couple other women.
I've got some friends that's in the one in Clarksville now, Buffalo Valley. Um, not liking it a whole lot. I'll say that.
Mm. I
Um,
was not real happy. That was my second go in rehab. I was not real happy with them. It
no,
was kind of a joke. It was kind of a
it
joke.
and
I mean,
that's
I'm
a
grateful they got into the transitional housing program because that's really what saved my ass. Um,
yeah,
because you got to do everything. I was living there, doing everything. I was paying for all my own food and stuff, and I'm basically paying Buffalo Valley rent.
yeah,
And then they'd show up, every so often and pop me a drug test with the rest of us in the house, and then we would see him again. Yeah, so
no,
I
it's
decided I was paying like 30% of my paycheck to them.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I decided I can do this on my own, and I got a little studio apartment um, off Second Avenue or off of
They
Second Avenue.
they now a lot of them guys are getting grants and they're going into the 90-day program down there called the MAT program. But it's pretty much the same thing. They go in there and feed them Suboxone. Um, and I'm not against Suboxone. If that's what you need to do, do it. You know what I mean? I'm not against it. I know some people are. Some people don't consider it being sober. I'm not that way. Um, it's kind of your route, but they don't do shit, man. You know what I mean? They don't do anything. They go to a half-ass group at first for I think 3 days a week. I think, and said it's supposed to be 3 hours. Never done a 3 hour group yet since they've been there. I got two friends that's there right now, and but they both were homeless. You know what I mean? And so for lack of better, whatever, it's got them sober and for now, but they're not getting any tools there. But just like I tell them, listen, man, at the end of the day, Go to all the meetings you can go to, get you a sponsor, start working them steps. Um, and just, but they've had to put up with some bull crap. And so hopefully some things are going to change there, maybe. But you know how it is, man. I do know that they have a lot of houses there in Clarksville, and we're looking into starting some houses down there, sober living homes, because what we pay in Nashville for them, we can get two down there, and they need them, but they need good ones, man. That's the thing. We need good ones. I've been to them, and most of them are not. Most of them are just bull crap, want the money, and that's just not what we need. We know that because we're addicts, and uh, if if we see we can push that boundary, we're going to push it. I definitely did, but I had a bad experience at Buffalo Valley back then when I'm talking about. But it was when I say a bad experience, it was my fault. A lot of things that went on, things that just really, really got bad. And I got back on heroin, of course, or whatever. And so I went there, and I was actually doing all right as far as with the Suboxone and stuff like that. But um, it just wasn't no treatment there. And it's the same thing now. But at the end of the day, I've been to treatment centers that insurance paid a lot of money for, and I've been to the ones that you get government grants for. And um,
Yeah, I went to Bradford the first time, and so all the tools I learned there, and then it was just kind of this time to put it back in practice because I kind of went away from everything and wasn't doing anything. Locked myself in my house. Didn't leave for years. I didn't leave this one little room for years.
yeah, it's pretty bad,
But luckily, I didn't. No, I actually went to the counselors and said, "How come you're not teaching this? How come we're not doing this in group?" And they added it to the roster because we weren't doing nothing. He's like, "You're not telling these girls anything." And then I'm watching our send out media or send out groups where we would send the girls from our house. They were going home that day. The send out, and everybody's like, "You got this, you got this." I'm like, "No, that's not the way this works. She can do it, but it's the false hope, right? It's the balloon or pink cloud effect. Where
Yeah.
they get home and then it's like reality hits you right in the face because you just said in 30 days you were basically on vacation almost compared to what your life was like, right? And so now you got to go back to your life and fix it and figure out how to live again. And they didn't tell them that, and so they literally like three girls bounced back into my rehab house and had left while I was there
Wow.
in the 30 days. In the 30 days. So it's like, isn't that telling you something? They're not learning it. They leave here all up on this high because they, were around a bunch of people and they were clean and they got to get some things off their chest, but they're still behind in their rent or their utilities are shut off or they're, and you go back and it's like, oh, and they don't know how to live.
No.
And so they go back to use, like right away, most of them. So yeah, Buffalo Valley, I don't give them any credit for that. I should give them credit for giving me a place to stay and my ass in the house to make work.
That's right. I love that. We're actually gonna. I kind of talked about him tonight. I wasn't gonna do it tonight. I was gonna wait, but we're gonna do a show about him, just so you know, upcoming. And I would definitely want you to be a part of it, because here's what I'm gonna say about it. It could be an amazing freaking place. It really, truly could. They have the resources to do it, and they have the houses to do it. They need to freaking do it, man. There's just no game. Here's the deal. It's all, addiction is only going to grow because of I don't know if you know about this or not, but right now, people that need hydrocodone, that take it every day or whatever, not addicts, they can't even get it. Some of it's back ordered for 4 months. So what's people going to do? People are going to, what everybody does, they're going to start going to the streets. So we're going to have even more people, and most of them are going to die. And I just don't understand the government. You know what I mean? I don't get it.
That was purposely done.
Uh,
They
I
did it.
know.
They did
I
it with
know.
Adderall. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they did it with
That's okay.
Adderall first.
Yep.
They did it with Adderall first. The government limited the number of pills that the companies, the drug companies, could make, and they So they figure if people can't get it, they'll stop getting prescribed for it. But that's not the way it works. As far as like if you need to take it, you need to take it. And if you've been taking it for long enough, what happens when you come off drugs right away because you can't get it? You find something else, or you go through withdrawals really bad. I mean, it's not something that you just can say, I'm gonna stop. There's stuff like the opiates are it's life threatening. Benzodiazepines, it can be life threatening.
It's scary. It's very it's
Alcohol is the most dangerous to withdraw from.
Yep. Yes, it is, and it's a scary thing, man, and that's why. Of course, through this podcast and all this that and the other things I'm doing now, I've become friends with some people who are now in recovery and got some amazing things going on. And so we got some ideas we're going to do, some stuff that going to states, to the capitals, different things like that. And but I told a guy a story a little bit. You've probably seen him on Facebook, Carrie, maybe even. I'm not sure, but he's got one leg now, and but he's doing some awesome things. And we're going to get together and start doing some stuff. And then there's another guy who has been in sobriety since 2001. He's done some huge things too. I'll tell who he is later on. He's going to be on my show also. Um, I'm going to start filming them next week. And so I'm not sure how long I'm going to be on Podbean. Podbean won't let me do video. I like Podbean because I like to interact with people live. And so I'm still going to try to get on and do them. See if I can figure out a way that I can use both things at the same time. I'm not a real technical guy, but somebody's supposed to be helping me with that. So I hope I'm going to be able to do that. But everybody wants them on film now. And but then there's also people who don't want it on there. So, but there's a lot of good things coming for the sobriety world. A lot of big name people are stepping up. And, where we live at around here, there's a lot of songwriters and different people that have battled addiction that I'm hoping to start trying to get on. I can't make any promises, but uh, I'm pretty convincing if I can just get a conversation with them and get them on it, because people need to hear, and they're listening to people like that who are already famous and stuff like that. So that's kind of the plan. But we're gonna start doing some like little camping things and things like that. Skydiving is what's on the venue right now. Um, I'm still trying to decide whether or not my boss is going to let me jump out of a plane or not. She hadn't said yet, but
Yeah, my doctor's telling me
she,
no. So I can't do it. He told me
yeah,
I can't
Beth
break
said
my
that.
back.
Beth said I lived with you in addiction, thinking he was going to die. I don't want you to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, but so I looked up all the numbers and stuff, and I think it's 100,000 jumps people die, and that's to me that's kind of high, man. Because a lot of people jump out of planes. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, man, I'd be that one. But at first you got to jump with someone else, and from what I understand, there's a parachute and a backup parachute. So we'll see. I used to want to do it, but
They make
I
you
don't
wear
know. I'm
handcuffs
gonna give it some
where
thought.
you're attached to like your instructor or
Yeah, you have to do
so
that.
many times, and
Yeah, you have to do that so many times, and so his event's going to be March the 2nd in Raleigh, North Carolina. He's going to have a big. It's going to be a big shindig there. I'm going to go speak at it, and then there's a guy that also does it in Nashville that I just found, or actually he hooked me up with a guy. I'm trying to get in with him as well to do some stuff, but start out on this journey of speaking. That's kind of where I wanted to go anyway. But I'll continue doing these podcasts because I like them. I love them. I love doing them, and apparently people like to hear it. And I want to get more people on and do more interviews and stuff so people can hear. And I think the one that me and Beth are going to do, it's going to be very emotional. That's for sure. Because we're just going to lay it all out there. She didn't know I was an addict, and she found out one night, and while I was asleep, that I was, and so yeah, kind of the rest is history, man. It was definitely a very difficult road for her, and she's going to just talk about all the shit I've done. It's going to be a lot of it's going to be kind of embarrassing, but I just feel that it needs to be done. I think people need to hear, man, with what we do to those that love us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
I
a
mean, I think
uh,
we don't pay attention to it during
no,
period time when you don't think we're hurting anybody. You always say, everybody always says, well, as long as it's not hurting anybody, but it hurts everybody.
it does. And that's something that I think more treatment centers need to do. I think they need to start helping the family heal also during that process, because it creates more animosity, and more resentments for the family, because the addict is there. They feel like getting help, and they're just sitting there still stewing in everything that we've done. And you come home to that, and it's just not a good. It's just not a good thing to do with them not getting help. And so,
Part of the
so
program at Bradford was that you have to make a phone call to your family members. Well, they required me to make a call to my mom and talk to her on the phone because I was in Alabama, and she wouldn't talk to me.
really,
She said, "Nope, I'm not doing it." And it's just because my mom lives in denial purposely. She doesn't want to feel anything either. We're in a family of addicts and alcoholics. My mom's just a workaholic. She didn't drink, and she got sick when she smoked pot, so she wouldn't do that anymore. But she worked all the time. That was her addiction. But
wow,
she doesn't like to feel. She's told me that hurts, and I don't want to know. Please don't tell me anything that's going on with you because it hurts. And I'm like, well, okay, thanks. How do you think I feel?
yeah, that's tough. There's a lot of people that way. I had an uncle that drank like a fish, man, but he functioned. He went to work every day, but on the weekends he would drink, and I don't know if he ever looked at himself at being an alcoholic or not. Never talked about it. He probably did. He died of COVID. COVID actually got him. Um, he owned a house in Franklin, and he bought it for, I want to say, like $18,000 in 1973, and then he sold it in 2021, or maybe even 20. I don't remember, for $475,000. So um, he done well. And then he died of COVID not long after. But he was the one I remember being a little kid and riding around them drinking and smoking pot, and it was just like a normal. And then everybody kind of wondered why I ended up the way I did. Of course, I did take it to extremes or whatever. As far as I know, I don't think anyone else in my family ever shot up and stuff like that. But the whole shooting up thing, like, I didn't do it like for years on end. Um, I did it and then didn't do it for a long time, and then I'd relapse. But once the fentanyl thing come in, I would only smoke it. I wasn't shooting it. I just quit doing it. But I used to shoot in my neck. I got a scar on my neck because I didn't want people to see, the track marks on my arms. But it's just a sickening thing. And I saw a guy about a week ago, and he was in a meeting. I could tell he was sick and he was feeling bad, and so I walked up to him and said, "How you doing, man?" or whatever. And he said, "I'm not doing good." He said, "I'm withdrawing." I said, "Have you tried to take Suboxone?" And he said, "I've only been sick for so many days, and this fentanyl shit stays in your body a long time, and so you can't just take the Suboxone." But I told him, I was like, if I were you, I'd just go ahead and do it, man. Just go through the precipitated for about 12 hours. Keep taking that Suboxone and push it out of your body instead of sitting there going through that for days. But it is intense when you do that. But what I'm getting at, he said that he'd been shooting the xylazine, which is the animal tranquilizer. And his arms were just like big old craters ate up in them. I mean, awful. And I didn't say it to him, but my first thought was, man, I just wonder what it's doing to your insides if it's doing it to the outside of your body like that. It was awful. I
They
mean,
call that
it looked like,
crocodile in South
yeah, it
America.
looks just like that. It looks just like that.
Yeah, it eats your skin and everything. That's. I did. It wasn't the xylazine. It was another animal tranquilizer for a little while, way back when. And then I had to quit. My dog works as a vet, and that's I used to steal it from there. So yeah, I had to quit that one.
Man,
That was before I went to rehab the first time.
there's no telling what.
Yeah, I was going to outpatient at the time. That's what happened. I was going to outpatient at the time. They didn't test for that, so I used that instead. And then decided when I woke up in the ER bottle was one night I was going to do something else.
There's no telling what all they're putting in it. And that, again, there goes the insanity of it. You look over at someone and you're doing the same dope they're doing, and you're looking at this person's arms or legs or whatever, and it's going to do you the same way. But what do? You still do it. You got to break that cycle some kind of way. I'm not cured by no means at all, but thank God I don't have no cravings or anything anymore. But I never really did. That was kind of the thing. Like I would have that one, but that one would be the one. You know what I mean? Um, but it would always be because I got pissed off at Beth, or even way before her. I got pissed off at whoever. I had a bad day, but I don't know if you've ever heard me say this or not. But throughout my time in prison, I never done drugs in there. Uh, Only one time, next to the last time I was in there. I was only in there that time for about 15 months, but I done Suboxone the whole time I was in there, and Suboxone will get you really high if you're not doing it and you just do little pieces of it. And um, so I got pretty strung out on Suboxone in there, but that's it. Other than that, I never did drugs in there. I could never figure out why I'd stay sober in there and then get out and go right back to dope. Uh, but I would. But the
Because
first time I got
real
out,
life is to deal with. Not saying
there
it's
you go.
not, but it's like you go out and there's a ton more problems and stuff, and everything you left when you went to prison is still there that you have to fix. And now it's a bunch of stuff you don't know, depending
Yep.
on how long you've been there. It's you don't stay caught up with the way everything is outside. So when you
No.
20, 15 years later, you get out and you don't know anything. So now you got to do that too. It's just the accumulation of too much crap.
Yep.
And
And
it's not.
Franklin.
I'm not saying it's a good reason. I'm just saying that that's what happens when real life comes and smacks us in the face. It's too much.
Yep. I wouldn't. I wouldn't go in the store. I wouldn't do anything, and I was antisocial really bad because I'd done so much time in isolation from getting in trouble in there. Um, they don't lock you down like that as much anymore, but they still do. But back then, I know a guy that stayed in isolation from 1994 to 2012.
That's
Uh,
crazy. That's
isn't that insane?
yeah.
That is
And
insane,
they've
man.
proven it makes you insane. So the fact that you've
Yep.
been in isolation for that long,
I did it
now
for 9 years.
they just lock people. They just lock the whole unit down instead of putting anybody in the hole. Really, I did 50. Let's say I did 58 days in Bedford County, and we were locked down the entire time. They'd been locked down for 3 months before I got there, and I left on election day, and they didn't get off of lockdown until after New Year's. So we
Wow.
spent like straight in Bedford County that year. The women did, not the men. The men never.
Shit, I did 9 years on max, 4, 3, and 2. So, I just read, I'm not gonna lie about it. The first 4 years kind of helped me as far as educating myself because I went in there with a seventh grade education. I wasn't dumb. I just didn't like school. I didn't, and what I found out is how much I really love to read, and so I just started reading everything I could and started getting all this educational books in there. I got a GED and all these things, but that's a long time. Um, I'm lucky that or blessed, not lucky, blessed that I know my own name and that I don't have all these health problems and all these different things. But yeah, it's a long time. That guy I was talking about, he escaped a few times or attempted to. I don't know if you remember the guys that escaped from River Bend in 1999, but he was one of them. He
Yeah, I
he
remember
was one
that.
of the guys. And, yeah, he was the last one that got caught. His name's Billy Cofelt, and they Williamson County had my time all messed up really bad, and um, I still had 10 years left when I shouldn't. I should have been very close to going home, and he's the one that got it fixed for me. He filed some paperwork, so I went from having 10 years to 6 months, and it was yeah. When I got out, it was a shock to the system. Franklin it was completely different. 840 was there. I didn't know nothing about that. Liberty Pike was changed to um, McEwen. I mean, just all kind of stuff, and I didn't even know my way around, but. Um, it was wild. The way you felt, you never would have thought that you would feel that way. And of course, once I started getting high, I thought everything was fine. And, I got on methadone again. I started taking methadone because I was seeing a girl and she didn't want me smoking pot. And so I was like, well, I got to do something. So I started taking pills and then I got on methadone. Then she found out it was just a mess. Everything's a mess. But um, that's where it all started. Then I ended up with a bunch more charges. And then my mother died. My best friend died. The first time I ever done heroin in my life, my best friend died later that day. He didn't die right then, but he had dropped me off and left, and then he was on Harding Place in Nashville, off 65, right there at that little store that's there, and they found him the next day in his car at one. That was on a. He actually died on Saturday. They found him on Sunday, and then my mother died on Wednesday, and now it's off and running. They put me in jail because I was in drug court, and they let me give me a 6 hour furlough to go to my mother's funeral, and caught me a year later in Tucson, Arizona. Of course, I didn't turn myself back in, but it was a mess. Just everything about it. That's again, it goes right back to all the insanity of it. You know the outcome. You know what it's going to be if you make it through it. Um, for me, it was always I knew I was going to do time, and
Did
I
you
got tired of doing that shit. Huh?
did you wake up thinking, oh well, damn it, I didn't want to be here today? Like, because I think a lot of them, and I did back then, that they use it to escape, and then they're just hoping that it stops, like everything stops, and you just don't wake up. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people feel that way, and that you can it gets better if you work for it, but if not, it's the same cycle. Like my cousin shot herself in the head 8 years ago, and they said that her tox screen came back negative. She was one of my partying buddies that I used to party with before I went to rehab. Um, and to me, it seems like my struggle at the time would be, do I use because I want to use, or do I not use? What do I do? And then the boyfriend and her got into a fight, and so she stole his gun out of his boat and shot herself in the head that night.
Mm.
And there are
Um.
things. I mean, my cousin been through. I was surprised she lived as long as she did. Some of the stuff she went through, nobody should ever have to even hear about, let alone experience. And so she was 4 years older than me, and so she was 39 years old, and she.
I um. I thought about it a lot. I ain't gonna lie about it. But I used to always say that I would never do that. You know what I mean? But there was many times there at my last run that I had. Um, yeah, there was a lot of times where I was just like, man, like I would do so much dope that people would say it's going to kill you. Okay, if it does, it does. That was one of the people that said, if I go out, if you save my life, I'm gonna shoot you in the face when I wake up. I was that guy, and I was trying really to commit suicide without doing it. I guess that makes any sense, but
It makes
um,
perfect sense. Like
it
to me, I mean, you don't want to be the one. We're always taught that suicide is bad. It's don't do it
I
because
didn't want.
you'll leave a bunch of people behind that have to deal
Yep.
with it, and it's kind of the easy way out, sort of, but not for the people you leave behind. Like my aunt Kathy is the one that found her mom in her condo. It was 3 days later because she lived in the condo by herself. Her daughter had gone to live with her dad, and she was, there by herself. And it's not like we call our parents every day. I don't call my mom every day.
No.
I could be, and I've thought about it. I could be off in a ditch now. I mean, I have Brian. If I didn't come home, he would probably call around to my family, because I'm always here, right? It's been 6 years, and I'm always here. So he would probably call around, or my family, or my son. But it used to be that I figured, oh, they'll find me in a ditch somewhere, and then, but it could be days, weeks, months. It's like, cause who checks on me every day at the time?
Yeah.
When I was homeless, I called my son every day just so he knew I was still alive, and that's sad. That's sad. I would just call him and be like, "Yep, I'm still alive," and then he wouldn't hear from me again until 24 hours. But at least I called him because I didn't want my 15-year-old son wondering if I was dead or alive.
That was the whole thing. I didn't want um Beth to get that phone call. It's really is a lot of times that's what kept me from doing it. And but what I would do is I would look at the amount of dope that I was doing, and I would call her on FaceTime, and I remember coming to many times her screaming on the phone, wake up, wake up. I mean, just doing that to her. It's awful, but it was the insanity of it. And yeah, yeah. But then once I got sober and I had my whole little mental thing, that's when I was really suicidal. To be honest about it, that's definitely by far. Uh, I was done. I attempted and luckily didn't succeed. But That's why we are trying to be a voice for the mental health as well, because it's just as serious. And um,
Yeah, and
you
if you
know,
put the two together,
yeah,
bipolar, PTSD, and ADD, and I'm an addict, and I'm a hardcore addict. I'm using them as junkies. The dumpster type. It's just, it's bad. Anything and everything that'll give me a outtake.
yeah, me too. I'm the same way. I got a dipping problem now. I can't let the nicotine go, but
I'm
you
on
know,
mine still. I'm either using a vape pen or cigarettes.
yeah,
I'll quit smoking for a couple years, but I'm still vaping. I've had nicotine running through my system since I was 10.
I think it's healthier than smoking. I think,
Well, for certain things, certain ways, in certain ways, yes.
yeah, it is. It's just all a mess. That's just the bottom line. And the government's creating more addicts every day. In my opinion, they make more money off of selling the dope and getting their cut on it than um, what they're making off of the fucking population control. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's just really stupid what they're doing with this.
Well, because they're sending all that shit over the border from
Yeah,
Mexico. All the
yeah,
fentanyl that's killing people, just killing like tons of people. But but they're addicts. They could we would say, oh, he has ADD. I can do that. He might not be able to. It might kill him, but it sounds like it's probably a good drug to get him and people.
yeah. It's bad.
Better drug users than he is, type of thing, right? Because we don't think about it, but we know it's happening. We watch it happen around us. I've got friends that died because of some recently.
Yeah, it's
That was 3 years ago, so that's the last time that happened. It's close to me.
all I know is that we're gonna try to help all we can. That's the thing, and it's kind of where this whole story led me. And um, I want to, I want to. If it's just that one person, I want to know to help people. And I get messages every day, man, that people are saying I'm giving them hope, and that's what it's all about. And I want more people to come on board with it. And as I start doing this traveling thing, I need all the addicts that've been sober want to come along and do this thing. And as people can, I know everybody don't have the same schedules, and some people can't, and this, that, and the other. But this summer is going to be a very busy but productive summer. I feel like, everything else going on in the world, we need some kind of good light to shine, and that's what we're going to try to do. And there's so many amazing stories out here across the United States and around the world of people who have overcome some unbelievable things to be sober, and we all can do it, man. We just got to do it, and it's not easy. I'd like to tell people that it is easy, but it does get easier. I think it does. Some people struggle. Some people struggle, every day. Again, thank God I don't. That obsession's been removed, um, I'll say I truly believe the day that I really truly hit my knees and prayed, take this from me and use me as you will. And I feel like that's what I'm doing now, and so I think that's why it is. I'm doing exactly what He wants me to do, but God has to be a big part of it. We're not going to do it without Him. That's for sure. Some people say, people use higher powers. That now, yeah, they do, but I think it always goes to God. And but I don't. I don't. I'm not a Bible thumper or any of that stuff. I'm a spiritual guy, but I know for me, without God, I wouldn't be here today. And there's a reason for it. As all of us, I should have been gone a long time ago, many times ago. Hell, I should have got killed in prison more than once, and I never even got stabbed in there. I don't have any scars on my body that that I didn't go in there with when I first went in there the first time. So walked through all that pretty, man. You had the fights and stuff like that, but for the most part, it wasn't that difficult in there for me. Maybe if it would have been, I wouldn't went back 4 times. And Bobby says it's a very scary place. It is. I don't recommend it for anybody to go. That's for sure. Um, it's not and Tennessee is. It depends on what prison you go to in Tennessee. Really, some of them are pretty lame, laid back, as I say. But don't get me wrong. You've died any day in any of them, and that's what an old man told me when I first went in there. Said, "What you do on this rock, get you killed on this rock." And I always thought about it. And I always remembered it. But I was still in some shit that I was in the organization or gang shit, whatever you want to call it, stupid shit. That's what it was. and thought I was somebody. I was led to believe that I was somebody. I wasn't nothing. It was just a bunch of bullshit. But um, that's another thing, man. I try to talk about that stuff, and uh, people, for whatever reason, don't want to hear it. But that shit's true. You need to keep your kids out of all that dumb shit too, because they end up killed over nothing. Um, but we're coming up on top of the hour, everybody. Thank you, Carrie, for coming on and speaking. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your help tonight. Beth was going to be on, but we got a teenager that's having issues driving. We're trying to get him out driving more, and he had a little mishap, not no wreck. He just um, got flustered, I guess we should say. And she's doing schoolwork. She's got a paper due, and she's just a busy, busy gal. Um, she's a trooper, man. She's wow. Just to put up with my ass was enough, but everything else that goes on is. And so we're gonna come on and talk about that. Like I said, it's gonna be for me. It's gonna be an emotional thing. I know it is for her, but I feel like it needs to be done. It's gonna be embarrassing, but that's one thing about her. She won't hold nothing back. She's one of the most honest people I've ever met in my life, and if not the honest. So look forward to all that stuff. We're gonna do it.
Good for you guys too.
It will be. It will be. I think the woman went through a lot here, as you know. I mean, you can only imagine she did, and you know, I'd go to prison and she was right there. It didn't matter where I was at in the state of Tennessee. She was there every visiting day, and money on the book, whatever, the deal. And always there, always had my back, and I'd still always try to push her away. I still to this day think about that shit. I think I was just scared to love, maybe, or whatever it was. Um, but I'm glad that I finally woke up and all that good stuff, and we've been good for a long time now. But there's still days, there's still days that she'll ask me about stuff, and it'll make my skin crawl. And but she just wants to know, and so I have to answer her. And I'm sure she's gonna hit me with some that whenever we do that. We're not sure what night we're gonna do it. We've got a real busy week coming up this week because we're opening the house and stuff like that. So and she's taking on another class to try to get through school faster. And of course she works too, and so she's very busy at work. She's the go-to lady at the doctor's office she works at. She works at the boxing clinic, and she's the lady who helps everybody. So you already know she stays very busy. And then even when she's not at work, and like I said, school and a kid, and got one in the Marines, and we got the dog, and just everything. And you got me. I'm probably the biggest baby of all, but she takes good care of me. But listen, everybody, we love y'all. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, Carrie. Um, Bobby, thank you. You're always there. I'll catch your show next time. I'm following you now, Bobby, so I can always catch your show. Remember, none of this is possible without God. That's how I see it. Some people might not like to hear it, but we need to hear it more. And in case you hadn't saw, there's a lot more people that are athletes and famous that are giving glory to God right now too. I feel like God's moving in big ways, and we got to keep preaching it. We got people need to hear it because they're not doing it in church today. So we need to do it on here and stuff the best we can. So again, God bless everybody. If you're struggling, reach out to me at DaneGentryPodcast@gmail.com. I'm on Discord too, but I think it's Dane0626. I may be wrong about that. Just shoot me an email and we'll get in touch with you again. Thank you, Carrie. And I'll see all y'all next time.
All right. See you guys later.
All right. See you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.